Welcome to the WCA Annual Conference. Our General Assembly is about to begin. Please take your seats and silence your phones. Please welcome to the stage Wood County Board Chair and WCA Board of Directors Chair, Lance Plimmel. Please welcome to the stage James Olson, former CIA Chief of Counterintelligence, and this year's keynote speaker. Please welcome to the stage WCA President and CEO, Mark O'Connell. Leadership and governance. One cannot occur without the other. But what does true leadership look like? It involves tough decisions, uncomfortable conversations, diligent efforts, and leaning across the aisle for the greater good. For decades, we as county officials have fought tirelessly for sustainable funding mechanisms that allow counties to provide critical programs and services, and that empower counties to offer programming that touches our citizens and our state's future. This legislative session, what began as a hallway conversation, evolved into the signing of Act 12, a historic shared revenue bill that will fund our counties for generations to come.
I served on the county board for 10 years, so some of my closest relationships with other local levels of government are my county executive, my constitutional officers, and the county board members that live in my home county. So I would say we've had these discussions really for a long time where they consistently said we worry about the cost of mandates, how do we ensure that we have good services? But then when we had this massive increase in inflation and the pandemic hit, I think it really brought home that local governments deliver so many more of the services than people remembered. So it was pretty easy when the county came and started talking to me saying, hey, we've got all these priorities that we need to figure out, and we probably have to figure a different way to pay for them. I think that there is no group that deserves more credit than the Counties Association and the individual county boards of supervisors and the places that have a county executive. In my own county, County Executive Jonathan Delagrave really talked to me already last summer saying, Robin, look, we can continue to figure out how to make it work, but we need to do something different if we're going to continue to be the great place that we are lucky enough to live in.
First of all, it's a great bill and a great win for the people of Wisconsin. Some of the issues as we got together and started to hammer were issues that were problematic on both sides. The Milwaukee was being required to do some things that the city of Milwaukee that they did not want to do. I was asked to do some things around voucher schools that, frankly, standing alone, I probably wouldn't have done. And on the other side, there was the same thing, the idea that somehow we weren't going to need a referendum to make this happen. That was troubling for the other side. So there's a lot of big troubling things that everybody said at the end of the day, we have to get this done. And we did.
So I think the biggest thing for me was I was not up last time around. So I spent a whole lot of time running around the district, helping other candidates. And what I was hearing, number one, is first it started off with my towns association. They were running out of money to the point where they couldn't fund EMS. And we were in crisis mode. We're talking to the towns association, my municipalities. They were to the point where we've got them paving over 135-year-old infrastructure because they don't have the money to actually do the repairs and provide the services that they need. And then talking with a former colleague of mine, Don Frisky, who is now the county board chair at Lincoln County. Don's like, Mary, we're in crisis. We can't keep people because we can't afford to pay them. And now we're to the point where we're cutting services. I mean, we're as lean as we can get. So I reached out to the Towns Association, the League of Municipalities, and the Counties Association. And I'm like, what do we do? And they're like, we've got ideas. Let's sit down and have a conversation. And that's really how it started, is just our local units of government doing a really good job at using the dollars we've given them. But we've held them so lean for so long, there was nothing left.
Well, this really started last summer in August. I was working with the Counties Association with one of my counties that's in kind of financial trouble, looking for ideas, seeing if they would come down and maybe assist with the county. And I asked the County Association, is anybody in the legislature working on maybe a long-term fix for this, i.e. shared revenue? And, obviously the name Mary Fiskowski came up. And I kid you not, I was getting ready to go into little city of Hillsboro and pulled over the side of the road. I was hauling a gravity box and called Mary, and I said, Mary, I just got off the phone with Kyle, and I think I understand we're going to work on some type of thing with shared revenue. I said, I'd love to be your partner in the assembly, and that's kind of really where it started. And The interesting part about it, some of those first meetings with the counties association, the towns, the League of Municipalities started, late November. As soon as the election was over, we started to work. And I think what was so rewarding is we had all three, local government organizations around a table. And one of the things Mary and I first said was, the three of you have to be on the same page. You've got to kind of put things aside and come up with a common goal. And I think what's refreshing is all three did that. And I think you saw that throughout the process because, the public sees one thing, but they don't see all the work that was done behind the scenes, all the hours and hours of meetings. And I think that's one of the things that I think we need to highlight as well.
Yeah, so we were in a very unique position going into this budget cycle with almost a $7 billion surplus. And fortunately, Senator Felskowski and Representative Kurtz were sort of working on this, trying to make, help out local levels of government, small counties, townships, counties and local units of government which hadn't had really increases in shared revenue in 20 years. And there was quite a disparity between, what some of the bigger counties, some of the bigger cities were getting compared to what some of the smaller townships, some of the villages and small counties were getting. So because we had this unique opportunity with a large surplus, it gave us this opportunity to actually, make investments in counties, local governments to make sure that they can provide the services that they need to provide, local EMS, fire, make sure they can maintain their roads, pave their roads, and just help, fight against, the inflationary pressures that businesses are seeing and that small governments are seeing just to pay their employees to keep them there. So it was a unique time. It was great that we had that surplus so we could, work towards getting a bipartisan agreement to make, historic investment in local governments.
One of my political mentors is a woman named Jean Jacobson. She was the county exec when I first got on the county board. And she would always say a phrase that the world is run by those who show up. And this is a prime example where for all the part-time county board supervisors who do an excellent job, you don't focus on what's happening in Madison. You have groups like WCA to do that for you. So I think you should be really proud of the job that WCA did leading this effort. Perhaps the cities and the towns got a little bit more of the attention because they have more members, but the people who should get the most credit is WCA and all the work that their team did in Madison negotiating with us and kind of going through the process.
Well, it's interesting. I ran for re-election on this issue. It was a top priority. I said it a million times on the campaign trail. And we had so much of the hard work in the state of Wisconsin is done by municipalities, counties, and townships. And whether it's plowing the roads or police, fire, health, it doesn't matter, courts. And so all those things are extraordinarily expensive, extraordinarily important. And for years, nothing has happened around shared revenue, and we had the money to do it. And so every citizen in the state of Wisconsin got a win out of this, every single one. Better services, more efficient services, you name it. And it's going to last. It's good. It's good for everybody.
I think that's that component of the bill, tying this to the sales tax and the economy of the state, I think is the most not talked about part of the bill, but I think it's the largest part of the bill. Because in the past, local units of government, their funding, whether your business flourishes or not, is not relevant to them because their funding has nothing to do with that. Now, how businesses flourish and the success of local units of government or local businesses directly impacts their funding. So this is great because we tied it to the sales tax. And in the last 20 years, sales tax has gone up an average of about 3.2%. CPI has gone up about 2.1. Now, there has been years where it's gone backward. So locals have to plan for that also, because if we get a decline in the sales tax, it's going to be a decline in their shared revenue. But the odds are very much in their favor, and this will allow them to not get caught up in the inflationary pressures and help them offset that. But tying it to the state's economy, I think, is one of the best parts of this bill, because we all then are working towards the same goals of promoting the state, local businesses, and increased revenue.
I think overall and over time, the municipalities, counties, towns have always been pretty big players in the world of politics in Wisconsin, and they're active. They've always been active, and so I give a lot of the credit to the organizations that represent them. I mean, it's not like they just appeared on the pedestal this time around. They've been here every time, and when we know somebody's speaking for thousands of other people or thousands of other representatives, people listen. And so the money was there, the timing was right, we got it done, thank God.
So when I was elected to the county board, that was sort of when the levy caps were first put on, and that put great pressure on us, but also a great opportunity for us to look for, finding ways to, combine departments, find cost savings, sort of right-size the county government. When I was there, I was the chair of the HR committee, so we looked at ways at reforming how we provide those benefits to employees, provide cost-effective benefits, things like that. We privatized a nursing home, things like that, to make county government more efficient in Sheboygan County. But at some point, if your revenue isn't going up, or going up only marginally by the new construction, if your county's not growing, at some point you need more revenue to meet those demands. And I think a lot of counties around the state have done what Sheboygan County has done, over the last maybe couple decades, trying to find efficiencies because of the pressure placed on them with levy caps. But there comes a time when, that revenue stays flat. And so this provides us a great opportunity to, going forward, tie, shared revenue with the rather large increase that we put in this budget, and then tie it to growth in the future, to economic growth, to provide increases going forward into the future.
Well, let me tell you, it wasn't easy. There were an awful lot of times throughout the process where I thought it could potentially fall apart and we would just live to fight another day. But to the credit of everybody who was in the room, we kept coming back. There was yelling, there was screaming, there were tears, right? But at the end of the day, there was a product that we could all walk out arm in arm saying, I didn't get everything that I wanted, but I got an awful lot of steps forward. And I think that's what we should be focused on, is in the world of argument and anger on both sides of the political aisle, where we have each extreme kind of pushing us apart. I think this is an example where sometimes you got to let that part set aside and focus on getting things done for your constituents. And that's what happened in this case.
One of the things that's really critical here is that we have state and local government working together, have a strong economy. Only way we could have done that in a good way is how we're doing it now, by increasing the resources for them through shared revenue.
So, one of the big questions we've gotten is, well, where did you come up with this new formula? Because we had our caucuses, when we first started talking about the plan for shared revenue, they said, well, we can't support it if it's the old formula because it's totally broken. And pretty much all three associations agreed that we needed some new formulas. So our goal was to close the gaps in the shared revenue formula, make it more fair, and then give pretty healthy inflationary uppers. So how do we figure that out? So we can use LFB, Legislative Fiscal Bureau, to do that. But this is where we leaned on the Counties Association more and Forward Analytics. They ran scenario after scenario after scenario and tweaked it every time for us and did an amazing job. And I'm like, I didn't know where to start. Like, if you would have asked me how to do that, I would have went, no clue here. But it was all three groups working together and deciding, what was fair, and sticking together on that and compromising, okay? Because I'm sure each group would have liked a little bit more here and there, but they compromised, and I think everybody came out a winner, and that's amazing. But Forward Analytics was the key to really getting all those formulas done, and God bless Dale and everybody for his hard work, because it was amazing.
One thing I always said with a lot of interviews was, people would ask, do you think this is going to get done? And at the end of the day, I always said, yes. This is too important of a piece of legislation to let it fail. Because one thing we haven't really touched on, there was a lot of points along the way that this could have easily broke down. And at times, I'm not going to lie, I thought this might be it. But, we regrouped. We said, let's have another meeting. Let's take a break. And we did. And I think that was the important thing. But getting everybody together to say, in the end, this is just too important to let it fail. And I think everybody collectively realized that.
Yeah, I was very concerned at times. We're wrapping a lot of things into this bill and trying to negotiate with the governor, and sometimes it's hard to find consensus across party lines. And in the process, we're also trying to fix sort of the impending challenges that we're facing, the city of Milwaukee County, which, leveraging that, getting the support of, the county executive and the mayor of the city of Milwaukee, I think helped things. And, I just felt this was the one time where we actually had the revenue available to actually make real change in the way we provide, support to our local levels of government. So it was great that we finally got enough votes rallied to support this, and that we got, the governor on board and a nice bipartisan compromise to make sure that we got this done.
Really quite simple. This is not a issue of legacy for anybody that was involved in this decision. What it is, it was the right thing to do for Wisconsin, and it's going to impact people forever. And that's really critical.
I'm involved in an awful lot of groups where you pay your dues and you hope that the people who are in charge of the group that you're part of are doing their very best. You could not be any more proud of the job that WCA did. They were in the room. How often has it been that local government had a seat at the table where decisions were being made? This is a prime example where WCA was the first group that we sat down with. They were the ones who helped to generate a lot of the ideas. So as far as making sure we have people who are trustworthy, you should know that every single person in the Capitol trusts WCA to do the right thing. I know you do because you're obviously active members in the group, but I also think it's really important for us to remember that WCA is a national leader. They're somebody that I talk about when I talk to my colleagues around the country. They don't have the same kind of relationship that we do. They don't have the same level of advocacy that we do. So when you think about being lucky to be involved in WCA, you should really talk to your counterparts around the country and realize that Wisconsin is a special place. WCA is a special body. It's because of the good work that they do. And you should look at everybody around and say thank you.
Holy mackerel. Mark,
Oh, I'm sorry, Governor. I'm sorry. I apologize.
this is my chair.
I am
And-
so sorry.
And just to let you know, there are people that have done that before. I don't know where they are right now.
Oh my God, I am so sorry,
yeah.
Governor. I apologize. I
Well-
am so sorry. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you.
I am so sorry. Let's go this way.
I'm just shocked, but that's all right. It's good. It's all good, Mark. Don't worry. Wow, that was a surprise.
For me too. Oh,
Yes. Well, now you're in the correct chair.
yes, I am. Governor Evers, I love our fireside conversations, even though sometimes we don't have a fireside.
Especially in the middle of the summer.
Exactly. You know, when's the last time this fireplace was lit?
Probably 100 years ago.
Okay, so you don't use it now.
No,
Just rely on
it's just pretend.
the heat of politics keeps this place warm.
Yes, or all our good vibes we have here.
Okay. Governor, it's been 9 months into your second term.
Yeah.
So what has changed or what has remained the same, and how are things going?
Well, as you know, during the budget we had some success on some really big issues. Shared revenue, one of them, and so that was unusual. That was unusual, and I think it caused a little bit more conversation than we normally do with the Republicans. So that was great. That was a huge win for the people of the state of Wisconsin. So that was different, and I sensed that when I was running for re-election that was going to be different, and it turned out to be different. That said, we have all sorts of other things going on in the politics of the day, but you get used to it. It's part of what politicians do is carpet each other. But at the end of the day, we're able to accomplish some things too.
I can only imagine the first day you walked into this beautiful governor's conference room in the governor's office, it had to be a little intimidating. But now we're 4 going on 5 years into it. Are you comfortable? Are you used to it?
Yeah, I was never uncomfortable. But you're right. There's a lot of stuff here, a lot of history here, a lot of really important things happening over the span of this state. So yeah, that was daunting, but I'm Tony Evers. I don't get flustered by too many things, and so we just carry on. We try to do the right thing every single day. I've done that since the beginning of my first term, and we're going to continue doing it.
I've noticed that as well. On the emotional scale from 0 to 10, it seems like you never deviate you only deviate between 4 and 6.
Yeah, that's right, at most. Yeah.
I mean, have you ever gotten mad?
Oh, sure, but being mad out loud accomplishes absolutely nothing, especially when you're in a political dialogue. What the opposite side wants you to do is overreact publicly, and it becomes a media event, and blah, 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 and then nothing gets accomplished. So, but it's part of my DNA. I am who I am. If some people call it boring, some people call it refreshing. I just know it's Tony Evers.
When you burn the steaks on the grill at the residence, do you get mad then?
Occasionally, yeah.
Okay.
When I'm by myself, yes.
Mad at yourself, okay.
And we do a lot of cooking. I cook year round on the grill.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's your specialty?
Mainly it's hamburgers.
Hamburgers, okay.
Yeah, really. We do nothing extraordinarily different than most people. It's hamburgers and occasionally a steak, but very, very, very seldom.
Do you buy the patties, or do you get the raw hamburger and then smash it down?
Well, my wife is the consummate shopper, and if she finds a deal with it already done, patties already existing, on sale, looking a little gray or whatever, she'll bring those home and I'll cook them like that. But other than that, I'll make the patties.
Fiscally conservative.
That's right.
We are in this beautiful conference room of the governor's office, and there's history, as you pointed out, everywhere. Do you have a favorite Wisconsin governor? Is there someone in history that really stands out to you?
Yeah, that's a great question. And historically, I'll use 2 people. One is somebody that has been an extraordinary human being. He was good when he was governor, but he was especially good when he wasn't governor, and that's Marty Schreiber. He has done more for his lifting up the issue of dementia and Alzheimer's because of his wife's struggles with that over time. Wrote a book. All the money for that book went to research for Alzheimer's. So I would say Marty is one of them, but somebody that really, as governor and as frankly senator, is Gaylord Nelson, who did. If you want to talk about somebody that's changed lives for people in Wisconsin around the issue of environment and making sure that our natural resources are protected, and he did that as a governor and frankly as a U.S. senator.
Mm-hmm. Are there things that you used to be able to do when you were DPI secretary, but now you can't because everyone recognizes you?
Yeah, there's something stifling about this office too, and that's one of them. If you want to be out and about, there are certain things that we do it often enough. People just sort of, that's Evers. And two things: Wisconsin women's volleyball and Wisconsin basketball. We have season tickets. We try to get to as many as we can. People around us know us for years, pre-governor, post-governor, or when I am governor, and so that's good. But anything else just gets a little klutzy, and so we spend our time. We like to bike, like to hike, and there's all sorts of parks and things we can be alone and get those things done.
So do you prefer the anonymity of pre-governor, or do you like the fame of governor?
Oh, gosh.
What's better?
Anonymity for sure. I'm not opposed to people recognizing me and thanking me or criticizing me. That doesn't bother me. It's more you can't do anything spontaneously. Nothing. I mean, because you have all these other people that are with you, and you got to give them a chance to get in place and all that. So it's the spontaneity. That is. But every governor, anybody that's in a position like that, so it's not me, it's 49 others in the country, and of course the president, all these people. Spontaneity is something you just don't have anymore.
Do you ever have security? You're going to try to do something, but security says, oh no, we're not going to let you do that.
Not yet, but if I said we're going to leave tomorrow and go to X, and X is 1,000 miles away, that would be a problem. They'd say no. Yeah, but it is, and they're human beings too. You want their lives to be reasonable and thoughtful, and and creating things that are spontaneous makes it more difficult for them, and so we're not going to do it.
So security never has to step on the pickleball court and say, Kathy, you're being too aggressive with the governor. Back off a little bit.
I wish they would, but they haven't yet. Yeah, there's a huge gap between skill levels there. Kathy's got it all over me.
Wow.
Yeah. If we were out in the driveway and do this, and she's we play 8 games, she may let me win one. May.
Oh, she lets you win one.
Yeah.
Just to keep peace in the house.
She never says that.
Oh, okay.
I know, when she starts missing things that she's never missed before. It's a gift for Tony.
I guess that's love.
Yeah, I guess that's love. Yeah. It's a weird way to have it happen that way, but so be it.
Well, speaking of sport, if politics were a sport, what sport do you think it would be?
Oh gosh. Well, the good news is it's not football where people are bashing each other. I don't think it's it's like any sport, except there's no physical outcome there. It gets tiring. The politics of this does get tiring, but I readily understand it. Frankly, it was that way when I was state superintendent too. I mean, there's politics in education, believe me. So you're kind of used to it, and you just kind of roll with the punches. But it's hard to say. It's all competitive. All sports are competitive, and certainly politics are. But at the end of the day, it's more important that we do it right in the political realm than it is in the sporting realm, because that's entertainment. This isn't.
I guess all sports are competitive, except you and Kathy playing pickleball. Not too competitive. She's so much better.
Yeah. There's no competition there at all. I get exercise.
Every famous person gets asked this question about if you were going to have dinner with current or historical figures. Let's say you have a dinner for 4. Who are these other 3? But actually, you know what? If you and I were having dinner, who are the other 2 people that we would invite to dinner?
Well, let's go with 4. I don't think I can narrow it down to 2. To me, it would be fun to have dinner with a bunch of really famous comedians. Mm-hmm. Get some laughter. And I'll go back in time. Carol Burnett, it'd be great to have her to dinner. John Belushi, and I'd say somebody from the presence, Steve Martin. Those three. That would be great. You know, and it would be because I really like comedians, and I like the fact that they make people laugh, but they're also usually doing something that has a more deep meaning to it. And I'd say those three were good comedians, and it would be fun. It'd be a good dinner.
Tremendous. I think it'd be a hilarious dinner. That'd be great.
Yes, absolutely.
What do you have any location on your vacation?
I'd have Marty Schreiber at that dinner.
Oh, Marty Schreiber. Well, yeah.
Of course, he's the funniest human being I've ever met, personally. See, I've never met the other three, but Marty Schreiber should be in that. Yes.
Is there any place that's on the vacation list for you and Kathy? Some place you want to make sure you get to at some point in time?
Yeah, and we're crazy people, and because not crazy, we're crazy in love with the state parks in Wisconsin, and haven't been to them all. Chances are we develop some new ones every year, so I kind of, we're getting behind in making all of them, but just getting into those parks and walking around, and we're not campers, we just love to hike, and we are so fortunate in Wisconsin. So to me, it would be about Wisconsin, getting to as many Wisconsin parks as possible, and Kathy too.
Sometimes it's hard to find your way, so I guess, let me ask you, are you an Alexa household or a Siri household or a Google household?
Google.
You have the Google Home or
No, we don't.
Nobody's listening in.
We don't do any of that.
The Chinese are not listening to what's going on in the governor's residence.
They'd be bored silly.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that. Even if they were listening in, it would be pretty nonchalant. Yes.
In the governor's office, you've had very little turnover, which is a little unusual, especially after a first term.
Right.
What do you attribute that to?
We're a good team. And the people that work in the governor's office are just extraordinarily talented. A lot of them worked with me on the campaign, and so I knew them well from that. But the ones that morphed from that world to working in the governor's office are doing extraordinary work. So I love them. They're great people.
If you were never in education and you weren't governor, what occupation or career path would Tony Evers have chosen?
Who knows? I've been doing those two things now forever. I would say my father and mother were in the medical field. I probably would have ended up someplace in that. And actually, that's one of the first things I did. I was in medical school for a year. It didn't work out very well. But so here I am as governor. But that's probably, I would have ended up in someplace in medicine.
What happened when you were in medical school and you said, not for me?
Well, I was going to medical school in Graz, Austria. And it was back in the days when things were highly competitive. I had a 3.75 grade point average from Madison. That wasn't good enough to get in the U.S. So I went overseas, and by golly, we became pregnant, and that was kind of the end of that story. We decided raising a family in the U.S. of A is the most important thing. So we came back, and here I am with 3 kids and 9 grandkids later.
We're only a year into your second term.
Yeah.
And so it's obviously too early to talk about legacy, but what do you hope your legacy would be as Wisconsin's governor?
Yeah, and I don't worry about legacy. I worry about doing the right thing, and if that becomes a legacy, that's great. No, I think having a governor at this point in our state's history, when things are tumultuous, I don't even know if I said that right, but you get it, when things are kind of crazy politically, that someone who has some rationality to his life, I think is important. And so, but other than that, we've had some big wins, and the issue of making sure that we had reasonable shared revenue in the state of Wisconsin, that impacts every Wisconsinite. Everybody that was involved with getting that across the finish line, that's their legacy. It's my legacy too, but it's their legacy. We share that. So any kind of legacy that may occur after I'm gone is a shared one, because in order to get things done, you have to have a lot of people behind you and with you, most importantly with you.
As governor, I know you get all kinds of gifts, and there's gifts bestowed upon you for speaking here or attending this event, or foreign dignitaries. And I know you don't keep them. They belong to the state.
Right.
But is there a particular gift that stands out, or something that you said, this is really neat?
Yeah, several. And yes, you're right, we can't keep. It's all done correctly. But yeah, a particular shawl gift, blanket from Shannon Hosley, who is the head of the Stockbridge-Muncie Mohican group of Indians in the state of Wisconsin. She's a great leader, and we get along well, and she provided me, it's actually in my office right now, over a chair. It's so beautiful, I decided to keep it out.
It's here right now.
Yes.
Can we go see it?
Let's go see it.
Let's
Yeah,
go see
beautiful.
it. Okay.
Good.
Let's take a look.
All right. My office.
Well decorated.
Yes. This one.
Oh, beautiful.
Isn't that
Oh
nice?
my gosh.
Yes.
Handmade.
Handmade. You bet. It's beautiful.
Gorgeous. Beautiful.
And we have another one here. This is from another Indian tribe, and this is just extraordinary also.
Beautiful. And you keep these in your office all the time.
Absolutely. They're part of me. They're part of this office. Obviously, when I leave office, we'll find a place for that, but not personally.
Does anybody get so cold in the office that they snuggle up with the...
I have.
You have?
Absolutely. It gets cold in here. Indeed. I can remember sitting in this chair with this blanket on. Yes.
Really?
It was damn cold.
As you're making big decisions on, yes, we're going to sign that shared revenue bill.
That's right. I don't think we've had any cold spells then, but
That's true.
we have had cold spells here, yes.
Oh, very good.
Yeah. Good.
Governor, it is always a pleasure.
Good to see you again.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Paul.
It's a privilege to be an elected official. We have a responsibility to make decisions they're not always popular, but they're in the best interest of those we serve. And one of the things that always crosses my mind is there's a difference between courage and comfort. Courage is a trait, comfort is a feeling, and we deal with tough issues every day. And at the end of the day, you have to be courageous when you make those decisions. People rely on us. You have to do your homework. You have to be prepared. You're basically casting a vote. You are relaying the feelings and opportunities of those people that we serve, and every one of us in this room hopes to do a great job in that respect.
County government is always about the future. It's about taking action today to position our communities and our state for success tomorrow.
County government is not just an elected office. It's a calling. It's a calling to contribute to the betterment of society.
What we do today in our county boardroom will affect every generation after us, and that is why what we do now is so very important.
We have a responsibility to do what's right, to look to the future, and to put into place the programs and services that will assist generations that we will never meet.
In county government, we are participants in the arena of public policy. And as participants in that arena, we have a duty, a responsibility, an obligation to engage in behavior, engage in functions, which will assist people we will never meet and generations we will never see. If anyone is in the arena of public policy for something different, you're in the wrong arena. We are not in it for the glory, for the accolades, for the thank yous, because we don't get those. We're in it to make society a better place, to create a better future, to position this state for success. That's why we're here.